In 2009, I actually became unemployed. JP Morgan Chase subsequently started the foreclosure process, and then shortly thereafter, about 8-9 months later, the tornado hit North Minneapolis. You know, I'd just given up. I had no job, I had nothing. He told me to call NCRC and JCA. If Vic Rosenthal and his staff and NCRC had not came into my life at the time that they did, what they helped me do is really restore my faith, my belief, my renewal that all things really are possible. And had it not been for them, I would have been really kind of lost and kind of wavering. I had little faith, little belief, little trust, and they really restored all of those things within me.
Part of the work that Jewish Community Action does is fight for homeowners facing foreclosure on Minneapolis's North Side and elsewhere in Minnesota. They see this work as continuing the American Jewish involvement in civil rights issues going back at least 60 years. JCA's leader, Vic Rosenthal, has been at the center of this issue.
One of the strengths that we bring is bringing members of the Jewish community to work as allies and in partnership with Northside residents. I mean, we've brought the Jewish community to door knock on over 200 homes on the North Side.
Literally, they came knocking at my door.
And we've connected in the last year, over a dozen homeowners facing foreclosure to counseling that can help them stay in their homes.
Their staff sat in my living room and they said to me, if you do not give up, we will not give up on you.
And we've had success. We've been able to get loan modifications. We've been able to get people delays on sheriff sales. And now we're trying to move policy at the state level because we believe the best way to support the greatest number of families, whether they be homeowners or renters, is by passing legislation that will make banks work more creatively and more in partnership with families to make sure they don't lose their homes.
Vic Rosenthal has been at the helm of Jewish Community Action since the mid-1990s. He's been a community organizer for over 30. Under Vic's leadership, the organization strives to repair a broken world. The phrase in Judaism is called tikkun olam. Vic's Jewish faith is woven into his organizing principles. It has led him to work on issues such as preventing home foreclosures, immigrants' rights, and the freedom to marry. They've had tremendous success, all due to the relationships they build and the grassroots effort they put into organizing.
There's a Hebrew phrase called tikkun olam, which stands for repairing a broken world. And so there's this obligation that Jewish people are taught about repairing a broken world. And I like the idea that my job is to sort of agitate the Jewish community to live up to that expectation, whether it's because you believe that God has told us this, or you don't believe in God. There's a history of where the Jewish people have been involved. We are a people that at various times have been oppressed, from, go way, way back to then the Holocaust, to various points in Jewish history when we have been oppressed. And Jewish people need to never forget that.
Vic's own family experienced some of that oppression. His grandparents escaped Jewish pogroms in Russia in the late 19th century. His grandmother on his mother's side became a bootlegger during the Depression to support her 7 children. Vic was taught never to forget where he came from and his parents' humble beginnings. Politics was a big part of what his parents talked about when Vic was growing up in Yonkers, New York. He had a sense that people were bullied and there were underdogs in the world. That's what led him to community organizing.
That a part of my heritage was to accept people for what they were, never consider myself better than other people, and to understand that I had a role to play in trying to do something about that. I can't remember if I was a freshman or a sophomore in college, and Ralph Nader came to speak at my school, and back in those days, he was a consumer advocate. I mean, that's what he did for a living. So he talked a lot about this responsibility that students had. And you ever have this feeling you're in a room with hundreds of people, but the speaker's talking to you? So that's what it felt like. It felt like Ralph Nader was talking to me and saying, you, as a student and a young person, have a responsibility to play in this country and in making things better.
And that's the kind of leader that Vic is. A real leader is one that leads by example and develops other leaders. And that's, I think, what Vic's main strength is.
In 1998, Vic and members of JCA focused their efforts on building relationships in North Minneapolis, once a prominent Jewish neighborhood.
Vic has been at the center of it. I mean, half of the relationships that we have with these people are based on the integrity of Vic's work and his longevity in this fight, and just what people know of him, and the trust that communities have that his intentions are in the right place.
We have been determined to do that. And so in the mid-2000s, when it became clear that the newest and biggest problem was foreclosure, we again just listened to people. What do you need? What do you want to do? How can we help? And that's where we got involved in helping to start the Northside Community Reinvestment Coalition. And it's been through that coalition that we've done door knocks and educational presentations. We've done interventions with families to try to make sure that they get the support they need. Sometimes it's been a lot of emails and phone calls to bank presidents saying, you know, this family deserves a loan modification and we're not going to go away until you give it.
One of those homeowners needing a modification was Kathy Spann. In 2009, she lost her job. Shortly thereafter, her husband passed away. In 2011, the tornado that hit North Minneapolis damaged her house. At the same time, J.P. Morgan Chase was foreclosing on her home. She called on JCA and the Northside Community Reinvestment Coalition.
One of the things that Vic Rosenthal did for me is really listen. He listened, he advocated, he understood. He also provided guidance in my career and really helping me to understand that what I was experiencing, I wasn't the only person experiencing it. He helped me to understand that I had skill sets, that beyond this, if I were to lose my house, I would still be okay as a person. He shared his faith with me. And knowing that I was of little faith at the time, he really helped me understand that the foundation of anything, you have to believe in something.
Well, again, I think it's a combination of sort of what we're taught in what I call the text or the Torah, which talks about things like do unto others, you know, as you want people to do unto you. It's welcome the stranger because you were a stranger. It's about treating laborers with respect and paying them on time. So there's all this text, but a lot of it is about the history, and it's about, as I say, standing on the shoulders of the people that came before you. And, you know, so there were Jewish people that were involved in the civil rights movement, and there were Jewish people involved in the labor movement. And I feel to some extent like I'm standing on the shoulders of those great Jewish leaders who did very powerful work, and now I'm just trying to carry on that tradition.